Welcome to the series on becoming my most authentic self. And today I want to talk about my current friendships. And I just have to say, they are fire, okay? One of the biggest things I have realized is that when we are younger and we're in school, like elementary, middle, high school, I feel like we are all in survival mode. And so we are trying to find people to just get through the trenches with. And I was never that person who had a lot of friends. I have always kind of stuck out. I've always been that weird, whimsical, kind of out there person because I have always had varied interests in, and I still have those. And now that I am leaning into accepting myself, they're even more eccentric than what they were now. And as I sit here, I remembered I need to find my flower press. So there's one example for you. But when I sit and think, especially after my dad passed away 2 years ago now, you realize who your people are. And my dad's death was devastating for me. Like, I am still struggling 2 years later. I have a hard time going in many of his favorite stores. I still have to take a deep breath when I do decide to go into H Mart, because that is the last place we went to eat together. It was one of the most beautiful things. When he actually came, I realized right before he left that he was coming to say goodbye. And that's not something that I take lightly. That's not something I take for granted. But the shock of that and the trauma of the events that happened after, especially with family and friends and all the things, like, my dad was always my best friend. Always. From the time that he came into my life until the time that he took his last breath, he was always there. And he too was incredibly intelligent and smart and quirky. And we did not always see eye to eye. We did not always have the same viewpoint on things. And sometimes I'd be like, that ain't it. And sometimes he would tell me the same thing. But we always had this ability to come back together. And he was there with me when I was really sick with my autoimmune disease. I was there with him through his cancer journey, being his advocate, keeping his medical records up to date, all the things. And I'm purposely sharing this information because it leads to the next thing. So even up to the point where he passed away, I was able to share all of his medical information, any adverse events that happened during surgeries, any allergies, anything I could share. And there were two of my best friends in particular that were right there with me. And one, I was constantly talking to him and texting and letting him know what was going on. And he was like looking into resources and making sure I ate and made sure I could sleep. But that first 6 to 8 month period, I still can't tell you what happened. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no clue what happened during that time. Maybe once I keep working on it and healing and processing, I might be able to remember. But that is an example of when you are friends with someone who has had extreme trauma like that, big T trauma, and they've had a lot of life experiences, it is going to be inconvenient. Yeah. I have heard from a lot of people over the years that, oh, well, that's normal for you. You always got something going on with your family. Like, you always have an issue with them. And that never sat right with me, because I was always that person that tried to go above and beyond and listen. And whenever I had capacity, I was trying to be focused in the moment with the tools that I had at the time. So now that I have grown and evolved and have had a lot of therapy, I am realizing what I will no longer accept. I'm not accepting it. I'm just not. I am very, very, very good on that. I'm not interested. Y'all got it. Y'all can have it. I'm straight. Okay? I'm straight. Because as I was going through that, they were processing the things that they had experienced. And they were asking themselves questions, and they were learning about themselves. And we were talking about it. And I could be really, really vulnerable and just share, this is all the stuff I have going on, and I'm sorry, like, I'm a mess right now. But my go-to is to always just detach from everything and everybody so I can get through it, because I've never been in a position prior to now where I could just fall apart. I've never had that. I never grew up with that, so I was just like, I was taught that go over there until you get yourself together. Go come back to me when you stop crying, instead of being held in that. And again, these were a lot of things that I talked about in therapy and that I've worked through. And they never left me. They were always there. I would tell them, there are some times where my voice notes, I'm like, ooh, listen to that when you have capacity, because it's heavy. Here's what I'm talking about. What do you have going on? Recognizing in their day when they have a lot going on, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I know that today is going to be a really big cognitive load day for you. I know you're going to have to process a lot. So send me whatever message, or when I go into the office, I'm like, hey, I'm going into the office, but still send me your messages. When I have time, I will listen to them. The biggest thing that I've learned with my friends, especially my friendships right now, is they root for me. I root for them. I send them opportunities. I tell them, hey, yo, you got to get in on this. Like, I need you to ignore what you were seeing online, and I need you to understand this for yourself. Here are the resources for you to understand. Here are some free things. Here are some paid things. If I got an extra $5, you got an extra $5. Like, we going to do this together. And because of these relationships that I have cultivated, and I even talk about this with my sister, with my niece and my nieces and my nephew, to just really see in real time, like, people are there for the rainbows and sunshine, but they're not there when you're in the trenches. And that's why, I have this saying when I talk to my best friends. I'm like, you wasn't with me when I was shooting in the gym. Like, don't come around me now. I don't want to hear it. I'm not interested. And that's on boundaries. And Mary had a little lamb. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all do what y'all gotta do. I'm gonna stay over here. And I've learned so much about trusting myself and trusting my intuition, that if something don't feel right with me, if something feels off, I'm out. And my friends acknowledge that, and they support me in that too. So my take home is, find you some friends where y'all can learn how to communicate and have that platonic relationship. And I promise you, watch everything else in your life improve. Watch your romantic relationships improve, because it's nothing like being able to be your authentic self with the people that you love. And sometimes you have to choose that chosen family, or create that chosen family, to be able to get that. And I know that sucks, and I want to acknowledge that. But baby, when you get it, and you got it, and you good, chef's kiss.